This is second in your packet. As the mayor representing the city of Easton, I write to express my strong opposition to the proposed 1 million square foot warehouse development at 1525 Wood Ave, known as Easton Commerce Park. This project would have a significant negative impact regionally on public health, student safety, traffic, infrastructural capacity, the natural ecology and environment of our economy. We also have a letter from Northampton County Controller Tara Zielinski, and I'll just read briefly from her 2-page letter, that the financial costs, both present and future, could be substantial to taxpayers forced to bear the burden of infrastructure upgrades and road repairs, while property value and quality of life could decline due to noise, pollution, and environmental degradation. Long term, the community could face increased healthcare costs from worsened air quality and asthma rates, as well as the loss of critical wildlife habitats and natural resources, undermining the area's sustainability for generations, which will be presented to you in a few different ways, but very specifically the wetlands that have not been addressed on site yet. This project is incompatible with Wilson and Easton comprehensive plans, as well as future LB, the regional plan, and undermines the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic values protected by the Pennsylvania Constitution, Article 27. At the same time, the community has not identified another need for a warehouse. Economic development must not come at the expense of public health, student safety, or the character of our neighborhoods. I respectfully request that the Easton Planning Commission reject this proposal in favor of a plan that prioritizes generational growth and environmental responsibility. Following that, we have a letter from Amy Cozy, candidate for Northampton County Executive. One paragraph from her letter: the size and scope of this proposed facility is incompatible with Easton's comprehensive plan, as well as the future LV regional plan, and has deep concerns about the sustainability of the existing infrastructure to handle the anticipated volume of truck traffic, which would place undue strain on the area's roadways and bridges. Additionally, I share the concerns raised by the Easton Area School District, especially in regards to over 24 bus routes that will be affected by this project, hindering the school district's ability to safely transport students.
Which we heard.
Yeah.
Heard that.
You've heard that. Oh, right. Yeah. And it's right there in the packet. It's like the next, you'll see on your index. It's right before that. We also, in there is a petition signed by over 1,600 people. If you would like the list of people upon request, I'm happy to give it to you. It's very transparent, but I didn't think we needed to give you 27 more pages of names. But if anybody would like that, please request it from me. That is not a problem. It's a change.org petition. I understand that is like not legally binding, but it does give you, it takes the temperature of the community. And
you said over 1,600 signatures.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's 1668.
1668. Thank you.
Thank you. So tonight you are going to hear from professionals speaking into their fields of studies, citizens in the region on how this irresponsible proposed mega warehouse will have negative impacts on our constitutional rights, and the burden of slow violence, which is environmental justice term, and that talks to the violence that generations to come will be facing environmentally, and it's the slow roll. It's not just the immediate impact, it's the impact that's going to affect generations, which, so this irresponsible proposed mega warehouse will have these negative impacts on our everyday lives. We will be stripped of our constitutional rights, and the burden of this slow violence will be exacted on us and generations to come. So I'm just going to leave this to our next speaker, David.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Dana Cuomo, 230 Taylor Ave. I'm a College Hill resident, faculty at Lafayette College, and I oppose this mega warehouse project. I'm going to use just a couple of minutes to speak to two big picture issues that have become apparent since the public became aware of the mega warehouse this past fall. First, it's absurd that the plans presented for this project only account for the immediate property. I appreciate that this just might be the way that things are done, but the idea that the literal downstream and downwind effects of a mega warehouse and additional truck traffic coming into and out of the county aren't the responsibility of the developer to account for speaks to the inadequacy of city, county, state, and frankly, federal planning. This is not a standalone warehouse, and its addition would compound air quality issues that, as we know, are horrific in our region, and which have disproportionate negative impacts on the health of our community members most marginalized by race, socioeconomic status, and age, all of which is documented in the December 2024 EJ Screen Community Report. Second, and I call on elected officials or city representatives here, and I'm speaking to you more than I am to the applicants. I think it's really important to take the lead in bringing together your counterparts from neighboring townships and municipalities to engage in true coordination around land development and planning that impacts us all. We've heard numerous times at this point that Wilson just went ahead with a vote and that there was nothing that Easton could do. That's unacceptable. Neighboring cities and townships sign MOUs with each other all the time. If the warehouse moves forward, I suspect there's going to be an MOU in place committing Easton fire trucks to respond to a fire at the warehouse, even though it only comprises a small percentage of our land. Easton should demand that if neighboring municipalities want to continue coordinating such resources, that must extend to include coordinating around development. I wonder, could the warehouse move forward if Wilson was solely responsible for responding to a fire at a 1 million square foot building with only its own resources? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Rush. I grew up in Wilson Borough and I currently live in Easton. Pleased to meet you today. I'm going to talk a little bit today about wetlands. So if I could direct your attention to the screen behind me, which I trust has a picture. I hope it has a picture. The wetland along the warehouse boundary and within one of the proposed parcels requiring construction, parcel ID L915100310, is listed in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service National Wetlands Inventory. This parcel is outlined in purple for visibility. The property is outlined in teal, seen parallel to the purple, as per the Northampton County Tax Parcel Viewer map. Now we switch to the National Wetlands Inventory. Two wetland classifications exist in the area proposed for development. The three lime green ovals mark the riverine system wetland R5UBH along the entirety of the Bushkill Creek in the area of proposed development. The yellow ovals mark the polystrene system wetland PUBHH within the parcel L915100313, outlined in pink, which will be destroyed by the proposed development. A complete classification guide for R5UBH and PUBHH have been submitted in the packet that you received. The National Wetland Inventory, required by federal law, identifies ecologically significant wetlands represented on geospatial data. These wetlands are federally monitored throughout time as they change. The mega warehouse non-point source pollution, volatile waste, and stormwater runoff will inevitably impact and degrade a federally recognized wetland. This wetland has been identified as extremely sensitive to salinity, has a minimum of 70% of vegetation cover, and is permanently flooded, meaning any additional water can result in vegetative asphyxiation. The wetland is also a potential natural habitat for bog turtles, a federally listed critically endangered species. Due to the wetland's specific sensitivity to salt and current lack of, any additional salt-based pollutant may result in elimination of the wetland's vegetation and existence. The wetland opens major conflicts with the Clean Water Act, Section 404. Rigorous environmental impact studies must be conducted and permits be received from the DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers before any consideration can be given to this proposal. For these reasons, I ask you to vote against the warehouse.
Ferguson. I live at 1313 Henry Lane in Forks. And tonight I am presenting a statement about the geologic concerns. I did not write this. This was written by individuals with considerable expertise, all of whom would like to remain anonymous.
That's just sketching that. I'm sorry.
You'll see the site. I'm going to draw your attention to the yellow pin that indicates the location of Quarry L. The light gray box is the proposed warehouse. This is a little sciencey, bear with me. There are 4 points that they want to make. More details are in your packet. I will try to go quickly. With concern for the health of construction workers, future warehouse workers, and the general population of Northampton County, it is our opinion that the following must be factored into plans for development of the site. 1, gamma radiation flux. The northeast corner of the warehouse footprint impinges on a well-documented radioactive anomaly associated with the uranium-thorium occurrence in Quarry L, a former serpentine prospect. Quarry L is known to contain about a 4-foot thick layer of rock containing about 0.1% uranium. The relative gamma radiation flux of the immediate Quarry L area is documented in Figure 28 of the Pennsylvania Geological Mineral Research Report 97, which you guys have. But somewhat elevated gamma flux is also thought to extend locally to the northwest. Figures 29 and 30 of that same report plot the radiometric equivalent uranium and thorium of that same area. The data in Figure 30 are of some concern because they indirectly reflect the flux from volume 218 near the end of the thorium 232 decay series, which emits a high energy penetrating 2,614 keV gamma ray. This and the observation of apparent trace thorium silicate and scattered rock to the northwest of Quarry L suggests that the completed warehouse could have localized areas of high gamma radiation flux, unless a relatively thick layer of high Z aggregate, such as diabase from the Berks County Birdsboro quarry, is used as shielding. This rock was used as shielding to remediate the original Colebrookdale Township Radon Index Flex in 1985. That's page 17. One problem that could not be easily resolved for that index house, however, was that the resulting radioactive spoils from moving around uranium, thorium, radium materials either had to be buried or hauled to the Hartford site in Washington State. The same would likely apply to this warehouse. Point 2 is radon 222. Radon has the potential to be a serious concern for the warehouse and its construction. Radon in the warehouse itself could be likely ameliorated by a sub-slab ventilation. The problem is that disposal of potentially large amounts of radon gas to the atmosphere from the sub-slab ventilation of a 1 million square foot warehouse could result in unacceptable local levels of ambient radon at the discharge pipe. This would be especially true during air inversions. Backup power supplies may be necessary to maintain sub-slab ventilation during power outages. Aside from its radioactive decay products, uranium is a very toxic heavy metal poison in and of itself, so consideration should be given to possible changes in groundwater geochemistry that might locally solubilize uranium-238, radium-226, and radium-228. Because of this geologic section of the ridge might contain carbonate rocks, the Daniel J. Freeman effect of concentrating radium in deep calcareous subsoils needs to be considered as an enhancer to radon release should subsoils be disturbed. Point 3, radon 220. Radon 220, or thoron as commonly known, comes from the decay of thorium, has a half-life of approximately 55 seconds, and is not likely to escape far beyond the construction site. Because of its short half-life, radon 220 is normally a negligible contribution to respiratory indoor radon or ambient radon. However, it could be a serious consideration inside a warehouse facility. And lastly, asbestiform materials for this site, to natural and potentially asbestiform minerals are of concern if rocks and soils are disturbed. These other related amphibole minerals, tremolite and actinolite. Tremolite is certainly present at other nearby locations in the same geologic unit. For this project, pre-construction verification that no asbestiform minerals are present would be prudent. And for these reasons and others related to the health of our community, we ask you to take the time to consider this report and vote against this warehouse. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Cohen. I live at 200 High Street in Easton. I want to begin and end by saying that when you say warehouse, you say diesel exhaust and respiratory disease, you say asthma, worsening air and water quality. So my comment will amplify comments that have already come up, especially from Commissioner Graziano. I come to these points as an Eastonian and as a professor of environmental studies and technology studies in the engineering division at Lafayette College. I have expertise in technology and environmental justice, which is about the ways technologies like warehouses or other distribution networks can promote or undermine how people have the benefits of healthy air, water, food. Like all of us, this issue matters to me for a number of reasons. High among them are the problems of environmental and public health that come with warehouses, especially when built so close to residential and school zones as this one is. Again, when you say warehouse, you're saying diesel exhaust, which is asthma and reduced air quality and pulmonary disease. All the advantages go elsewhere. Chicago, the developers, whoever's going to end up operating the warehouse. All the damages go to us, including all the neighborhoods in the valley, including Easton, including Palmer, including our friends in Wilson. We'll have to pay for all these damages. Nobody's making money. This warehouse, which is twice the size of the Palmer Park Mall, it's twice the size of the Palmer Park Mall, makes our health worse and harder to battle. That's harmful to our town. It's made worse for being so close to our schools and children. I raised my kids here. I want my grandkids to visit me and be safe. Research from scientists in the journal Nature find that warehousing and goods movement increase traffic-related air pollutants, including nitrogen dioxide and fine particulate matter, the PM 2.5 that Charlie was referring to. These pollutants are associated with pediatric asthma development, cardiovascular disease, premature death, and other health impacts. That was a quote. That was from a study just last year, published in August 2024. Research from transportation engineers before that tracked data from the National Emissions Inventory to find the same. Heavy-duty vehicles accounted for about a quarter of mass concentration of particles and half of nitrogen dioxide among on-road emission sources in their study of a high-density warehouse neighborhood. I'll add, too, that information earlier from the developers was incorrect. Carlisle is at the 62nd percentile in PM 2.5 emissions. It's not below standards. A study by UCLA scientists found similarly that benzene, nitrous oxides, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, that PM 2.5, and ozone from warehouse activity leads to acute and chronic exposure, asthma, pulmonary, and cardiovascular disease, and cancer. There's a 100% chance that all those things would be worse with the warehouse, not better. In closing, I ask that you vote this down and protect the well-being of our families and children, the quality of our air, and the health of the water and the land. The impact of the Commission's decisions affect my health, my children's health, my neighbors' health, and our environment's health. I want to thank the Commission, I want to thank my neighbors for your time tonight, and ask that you stand for us, protect us, and vote this down. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leonidas Patoulis. I live at 119 North 7th Street, West Ward. I'm a real estate agent and as well as a practice director for Lehigh Valley Health Network. Over the last 5 years, I've been helping and assisting people in the Lehigh Valley with purchasing and selling homes. Today I'm here to talk about the Wood Avenue warehouse developments and how they could affect the Easton housing market if the Planning Commission moves forward with approving this plan. First, I'd like to share some data and information on how well Easton housing market is currently. From February, the median home value is $310,000. That is the median increase is 37.8% of an increase from previous year. From a year over year end, that's a 5.3% increase. The current average days on the market is 14. Prior year is 18, so four days less in comparison to the prior year. So with all of that being said, Easton is showing robust growth over the past decade with significant appreciation in home values. Now there are two other towns across the U.S. and have similar data and trends. Some of those towns have data showing the housing market before and after warehouse developments in those growing towns. One example that resembled a lot of similarities to Easton is Stonecrest area in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. Before the warehouse development, housing prices increased around 8.9% year over year. The housing average on the market was around 59 days. People were moving from Atlanta and other areas of Georgia because of the aesthetic development and community appeal. After the warehouse development, the home market began to go below market. Median house prices decreased 4.2% year over year. Houses went as high as 140 days on the market on average. Residents complained about light pollution, reduced green space, and other effects. Warehouses were built near residential neighborhoods and it took away from the aesthetic appeal and deferred buyers in the future. This is with the average square foot of warehouses in that area being around 50 to 60,000 square feet, not 1 million. There's also other small towns affected by warehouses. Inland Empire, California, the riverside of San Bernardino counties, North Las Vegas, Nevada, they had residential zoning issues. In the future, areas in the UK, Essex and Kent, home prices dropped 9.7% in 2024. So why are these numbers important? What do these numbers represent? These numbers reflect the hope and belief in the area and in the community. Residents previously mentioned in Stonecrest, Vegas, etc., purchased homes holding the belief that they were investing in what was their legacy, their community, and their future. Many of us here hold these same aspirations. I myself moved from renting in downtown Easton to purchasing a home in the West Ward because of the continued growth this area can bring for myself and my family. This potential exists for thousands of homeowners in the greater Easton area. Purchasing real estate is one of the few ways working people can grow their wealth. Don't take away that opportunity like it unfortunately did for those hard workers in those other towns. The residents of suburban Atlanta and other communities in similar circumstances have been robbed of their mobility. They are cemented somewhere they can't afford to leave from trying to aspire for more. Let us all take lessons from this misfortune, not act swiftly, and to make a decision that can financially impact the lives of thousands of people hoping to leave a better future for their families to come. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
That was just the before and after Easton slide to see how far we've come.
Good evening. I know it's been a long night. I'm Ralph Bolifato. I'm Ralph Bolifato. I am an Easton resident since 1964. I live up on Paxonosa Road and have two other properties right on Morrison Avenue. I'm here with Peter Terry, a traffic engineer. We've been before you previously, as I imagine most of you recall. First, I want to really appreciate so many of the insightful things that this board has already questioned about. And as Peter and I were sitting out listening to your questions, we were saying, you know, they're doing our job for us. But what we really want to do is provide you with some legal and traffic engineering support for some of those very insightful questions you had for the developers. And I also want to do it specifically with regard to what the solicitor said, that we realize you're hamstrung by the zoning, by what Wilson's done, by what PennDOT's done. But we do want to provide you some legal support and some traffic engineering support for the ways in which this plan does not meet the SALDO standards. I have a executive summary that was prepared by Mr. Terry, who reviewed these plans on behalf of Brett Weber and some of the other individuals. And I'm going to ask him to just provide his summary, and then I'll provide you a written copy of it along with his CV. Okay?
Thank you very much. And again, your preparation really showed tonight the questions you were asking. Sort versus non-sort facilities, that's the issue. The traffic, Ian didn't want to tell you how much more traffic there is with a sort facility versus a non-sort. You can certainly limit the amount of traffic that's approved for this development. Based on that, you can also work that in with PennDOT's regulations, because the permits that they will issue for the driveways will have specific amounts of traffic allowed. So if in your developer's agreement you have a way that you can periodically measure how much traffic is utilizing those driveways, you can check against the permit to see whether it's valid or not. So that's another tool that you have. The safety analysis, the crash analysis that they presented in their study really looked just at their frontage on Wood Avenue, which makes no sense at all, because in the world of traffic safety analysis, you don't look at just one little site. You look at all your study intersections and all the roadway connections in between. The questions about a tractor trailer pulling out from the site driveway and the grade on Hackett, or other people coming around, is right on target. That's why PennDOT has a desirable site distance, not just a minimum one. Because every one of those trucks that pulls out there without adequate site distance, without that desirable site distance, potentially is going to create a hazard for the other traffic on the road. The level of service issue really is biggest for Hackett Avenue, coming down, making a left-hand turn. That's a level of service C today, and if you've driven it during rush hour periods, it's not too bad. With this development, it drops to a level of service F. The fact that they can't meet traffic signal warrants tells you that they just don't have enough traffic to meet that criteria. But it doesn't talk about the fact that you created a safety issue, because those people now are going to have to accept a smaller gap in the traffic stream on Wood Avenue to be able to pull out and try and make their left-hand turn movement. That's something that really should have been touched on in their traffic study. One of the things when I looked at their site plan that really surprised me was they don't show a guardhouse. I've worked on dozens of warehouses, only a few that are of this size, but they always have a guardhouse, because the value of the materials that they have stored in here is huge. And a lot of the trailers come in and get dropped, okay? You gotta go through the guardhouse, you gotta be certified, and they gotta make sure that the people going back out are carrying, they get the right truck, it's not being stolen. This is important because of the trip distribution. Generally, you build one guardhouse at a facility like this. Having two driveways that access the site, both of which trucks are going to use, now you've got a problem, because how do you get through you can't keep circling the site to get to the guardhouse. And generally you don't build two guardhouses on one site, unless sometimes you do that when you have multiple users in one building, which they really didn't talk much about tonight. Let's see. That one. I think those are the major points. It's been a long night. Again, thank you.
The only thing I want to supplement is that the specific volume of the difference between sorting and non-sorting facilities is set forth in this summary, so you have your exact numbers for that. You should condition this on being a non-sorting facility to the extent you feel compelled to grant any relief whatsoever. The crash history, when you're evaluating crash history only in front of driveways that haven't been in use for many years, of course you're not going to have any accidents because they haven't been used. I'll let the executive traffic report summary and Mr. Terry CV speak for itself beyond that. I'll put both of these up in front of you, all right? Okay, thank you.
May I ask while you're doing that, how many more folks do we have in the line who are part of this group?
Who's this belong to?
About 8.
Thank you so much.
And other people have gotten in line now, so it's.
7.
We need to limit it. We just need to.
No, I'm not suggesting. So what I'll want us to get through is the number 9 on your list, Environmental Justice Index Report.
That's just an index for what you have in front of you.
Okay, and number 8, supporting case law. Will anybody be speaking to
Yeah,
that?
we're going to speak to all of that, and as we've only taken up 35 minutes and 49 seconds out of like hours that we've been staying here, I just hope that you're willing to listen to all of the people.
I'm willing to go as far as biology will take everybody. So I want to get to number 8 and supporting case law. And loose coalitions may have to wait until after we take the bio break. But we're going to let you finish with what you have through number 8. Number 8 on your list.
Yeah, that's an index for the paperwork that was
Okay.
given to you.
So far you followed it pretty well.
Right, it's the supplementary materials.
Okay?
So if we could, yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 speakers.
4 speakers. Thank
Is that
you.
okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah.
And then we will continue, by the way. We will take a few minutes and we will continue. Everybody who wants to speak will get a chance.
Okay, I thought you were just cutting us off. That's
No. I'm just,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Alright,
won't say
well,
any more than that. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, let's play that
Play
again.
that again. And your name?
Hi, my name is Jeremy Gold. I'm an Easton resident in Williams Township. This was taken, what was it, last week? This is essentially a truck that was cleaning the property, leaving onto Wood Avenue. And this is just a taste of what you're gonna see.
oh my goodness.
Won't play? You can watch it on the YouTube.
Just hit the play button.
It's like weird.
She's doing that.
Click on that. Click on the triangle. You keep hitting space
No,
bar.
You're an icon?
There we go.
So again, my name is Jeremy Gold. I am a Easton resident in Williams Township, and I have a CDL license. I drove a tractor trailer as an employee of NFI from 2019 to 2021. So for almost 3 years, I worked up to 14 hours a day. I wasn't over the road, driving as far as 3 hours out of Minersville, PA, to stores and many distribution centers like the one being proposed here in Easton. My father-in-law, who was here earlier tonight, lives adjacent to Hackett Park, so I travel on Wood Avenue frequently. And I can tell you this road was not designed to accommodate a combination of residential and truck traffic. Trying to turn onto Hackett Avenue is often a guessing game on a normal day. You really never know until almost the last second if a car is rounding the bend, really from either direction. And this limited visibility is already a hindrance to safe driving. The Pennsylvania CDL manual has a section on speed control and stopping distance for tractor trailers. Tractor trailers, if you I'm sure most people haven't driven one, but they don't act as cars do. They can't stop on a dime. For example, at 30 miles an hour, tractor trailers travel 44 feet per second with a reaction distance of 33 feet. That is the distance traveled from the time that your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot is actually pushing on the pedal brake. At 30 miles an hour, the total stopping distance of a loaded tractor trailer is 148 feet. If you up that to 45 miles per hour, you're traveling 66 feet per second. Your reaction distance before you can do anything is 50 feet. And the total stopping distance at that speed is 310 feet. That's a football field. So we're talking a football field of length that does not exist around that bend. So if a truck cannot see that traffic that is backed up, if there is a backup around that bend, that's an accident waiting to happen. And what was shown earlier in that TIS, the impact study, does not address that. I don't believe that that's going to make it any easier for the traffic coming on Wood Avenue towards 13th Street, towards Hackett Avenue, to make that turn. So unless upgrades are made to the entirety of Wood Avenue, from 13th Street to 25th Street, including to the right towards that Route 22 overhead, it is my opinion that it would not be safe for this road to be shared by both cars and trucks. This is not something that a timed entry and exit of trucks is going to resolve, and that is why I ask you to vote against this proposal.
Hi, I don't have any visual aids. My name is Jennifer Tellerico. I live at 406 West Burke. I've been a resident of Easton since 2006. It is the longest I've ever lived in a single place my whole life. When I first moved here from North Carolina, I sold my car. It was a little rear-wheel drive convertible with every intention of buying a more responsible all-weather vehicle when I arrived in PA. Instead, ever since I've lived here, I've been primarily pedestrian. I walk to and from work every day. I walk to the farmer's market every weekend. I walk the arts trail to get to the silk mill, which is an exceptional example of a community-oriented adaptive reuse property. That is almost exactly equidistant from my house as this building is. I walked here tonight. I walked past significant improvements to pedestrian safety, like enhanced crosswalks and traffic calming measures on Cattell. I walked past thriving small businesses, bakeries, restaurants, coffee shops, retail, consignment, a hotel, and through vibrant residential neighborhoods. I walked through a renovated center square that also shows the benefits of traffic calming and pedestrian-friendly actions that this city has taken. I'm seriously concerned about the traffic implications that this project will undermine all of the progress I just outlined. For many of the concerns that you all raised earlier, both about the direct and the indirect effects of other drivers altering their paths to avoid this site, and therefore increasing congestion, exhaust, the risk of collision to both drivers and pedestrians throughout the entire region. It's gonna make my walks less safe, less enjoyable. Maybe then I decide to drive, and then I am part of the problem, contributing to congestion and pollution and parking problems. I admit that the scope and the scale of this problem depends dramatically on the number and nature of the traffic entering and leaving the proposed facilities, another problem you all have already identified. But the speculative nature of the proposal allows for approval of the most realistic scenario, and we will live with the possibility of a worst case scenario. I love Easton's walkability. I appreciate all that the city has done to enhance that in recent years. This project would severely detract from it. I'm asking that you vote down this speculative proposal with no existing tenant that will undermine the healthy development of our community. And based on the comments of the solicitor earlier, I think my reading of the saldo suggests that it is deficient in 520-32 and 520-40, 11, and 12. I sincerely ask you all to look at those more closely. Thank you to the commission, thank you to my community for your patience and for your attendance tonight and your efforts to sustain Easton and the Lehigh Valley now and into the future. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brett Weber. I'm a resident and architect and business owner in Easton. I live at 120 Morrison Avenue, near the site. And as I've testified before and spoken before the Planning Commission before about this project and other projects like it, there is a sort of dilemma of unintended consequences. And I think you've touched on that or poked at it with your thoughtful and probing questions tonight. In the prior remarks, it references the Saldo, and I would call your attention to that. And when we look at 520, 40, 11, and 12, just reading into 11 and sort of this development of regional significance. I mean, I think the purview that the Planning Commission has is to say to take the responsibility of avoiding a project that is potentially doing some harm to, in a meaningful way, to the environment, to our quality of life. I'm echoing comments and concerns about air quality, significant noise disturbance, which there may well be a sort of inherently designed-in violation, stormwater issues. I take a crack at the economic issue here, though, is that there's a really, really fundamental economic cliff that we're living on, with the threat of this development changing the nature of the value of the city, the value of its tourism economy, the value of what the city is to our forever tenant, Lafayette College. I understand that institutions are reticent to weigh in on projects like this, but I would see this as a death threat actually to the college and to the quality of life for one of the biggest landowners in the city. 520-40-11 addresses to the development of regional significance, an identification of any development that would affect the city and any adjoining municipalities, Keller Wilson, in an adverse manner due to its character, magnitude, location, traffic generation, height, impervious cover, or incongruent land uses. I think I just want to reiterate something that we've heard from the LVPC, and we know that they don't have a legal function other than dealing with stormwater, but they're our regional guide, and we should be having thoughtful and impactful discussions. We're not telling, we are the citizens of Easton, we're here to support the Planning Commission. I think you're hearing from citizens that citizens are opposed to this and see it as a threat. LVPC said the proposal has been designed to maximize building site, disregarding site topography, existing natural resources, including steep slopes and woodlands that are critical to supporting wildlife habitats adjacent to the Bushkill Creek. This project is a negative impact on Bushkill. And one of the things I would say is that as an architect looking at this, if this project were the marquee being done downtown, the Planning Commission would absolutely be demanding, I want a street level view. I want to see how far, what does this building profile and the topography really mean? You can look at it if you look at the site plans, but you don't really understand it. It's over 150 feet above the Bushkill at the northeast corner. Very steep slopes that are sort of engineered into the project in addition to the retaining walls. How that project will sit, the light impacts, the blight it will create as in the gateway to the city at 13th Street is just, it will be very regrettable if it's approved. So I'm encouraging you strongly to vote no, to vote for the city and for the city's future and for our kids' futures, those that are going to inherit the city. It's a very, very important and pivotal decision for the future of the city. Thank you.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Good evening. I'm Kurt Ely, 305 West Monroe Street in College Hill in Easton. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to address this important issue. I have a feeling, I believe, that you feel a lot of pressure brought on to approve this potential development, and I can appreciate that. You have a vote to take, maybe even tonight. I don't know if it'll happen tonight or not, but it's a possibility. And it's an important one that will potentially impact our community and our entire region for decades to come. Like you, I really care about this community, all of it. Easton, Wilson, Palmer, Forks, and beyond. And like you, I'm really concerned about the very real harm this proposed 1 million square foot warehouse will do to our community. While it's being built, when it's completed, and for decades to come, the damage will continue. Here's the good news. I get to be the one that offers a very real solution. I get to share with you the solution that you've been looking for and hoping for. And the great news is that it's been here all along. It's built right into the land development laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. What's the solution? The requirement that you protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The good news is built right into our Pennsylvania Municipalities Code, our Easton Zoning Code Ordinance, and our Easton Subdivision and Land Development Chapter 520. These are the very documents that you must follow in making your decision about this proposed development. In fact, it's these documents that you were charged with. In these documents, you're charged with the very responsibility to uphold these protections, the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Now, I know health, safety, and welfare is a term that is often bandied about, mentioned, but perhaps not taken very seriously. It's a nice idea, but not upheld. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. As you'll learn in a few minutes, perceived threats to the health, safety, and welfare of the community have been upheld by our municipal courts as the very reason why municipalities were correct to reject proposed land development. And not just in other parts of Pennsylvania, but right here in Northampton County. In Pennsylvania, the health, safety, and welfare of the community and the quality of life impact of a proposed land development, these are the characteristics that you must evaluate. They are your guide, they're your direction, they're your charge to evaluate and to maintain in every decision that you make. Every decision should be based upon health, safety, and welfare of the community. Now let me help you out a little bit. I think that I'm correct in that virtually every one of you felt the same way that I did when you first heard about this 1 million square foot warehouse being proposed for this environmentally devastated parcel of vacant land adjacent to the congested intersection of 13th Street and Wood Avenue in Easton. I believe you had the same reaction as I, as anyone who knows the location, has driven through the intersection and experienced, or at least heard about, the environmental abuse in this property's past. I know that you felt the same hit in the gut that I felt. You literally felt that the idea was wrong, that it had to be a mistake, that it was crazy. And in nanoseconds, your brain began to compile the list of all the reasons why this was a crazy idea that didn't make sense. And then, if you're anything like me, your heart came into play, making you realize that a warehouse of that magnitude in that location would bring everything that we've worked for and believed in our community for the past 20 years and more to a halt. All the progress we've made would be lost, and our hopes and dreams for our continued growth and prosperity would disappear. Maybe that sounds overly dramatic, but for me, that's what I felt. Remember what you thought. Remember what you felt when you first heard about this proposed development. This is wrong. The health, safety, and welfare of our community will be jeopardized, what you felt was accurate, and nothing about this plan of development makes sense, the health, safety, and welfare of our community is in your hands and depends on your vote. On that basis, please vote no to this proposed warehouse development. Make it unanimous. Thank you.
We have had the four speakers. We have had the four speakers. It is 12:06. I'm going to take a 5-minute break to, it's now 12:07. We'll take a 5-minute break to 12:12. You will be first. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
And I'm about to
Excuse me. Hey. How are you? Yeah, good to see you. You too. I have my hands full. Been on my feet all day.
See you Friday.
Okay, 9:45.
What?
9:45.
Yeah, 9:45.
Hey, where are you all from?
I'm from Philly, but I've lived here for 2 years now. I really care about Easton.
Right on.
Also from Philly, came here for college.
Aw, guys. Well, yeah, I've lived here for 3 years, and then this summer I'm from DC, but representing Lafayette College State. I'm from Jersey, but I've lived here for 2 years, and I'm also representing Lafayette College State. I'm from Richmond. I've also lived here 2 years, and I'm also representing Lafayette College.
Awesome.
Y'all are making me sound old. Oh, you've been here all 3 years. I know.
And what you are.
Excited.
This is good to see you.
Yes.
I'm really happy.
And they're staying late.
Yeah, it's like way past my bedtime.
Midnight.
Way past all of our
Take
bedtime.
this.
I need to be in bed. We are sure. This is more important. This is more important.
Sleep will be there tomorrow.
Exactly.
Maybe.
You know anything about the alarm? It looks like the alarm system's going off. Maybe we're in here too late. I don't know. Who cares? Whatever. So the police will come.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna go through. I can't do it.
Lily's the one who can do a lot of new stuff on
Just find out when I'm. Yeah, no, I will. Yeah. I'll get some people. She's walking.
1 more minute break.
Yeah, he's kind of like.
Well, when we were up at the river, and then downtown, he said, on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning,
All right, before we move back, and we'll go to you next. After having some discussion, especially considering the lateness of the hour, we want to make sure that everybody gets their time to be heard. We've heard a lot from the applicant. There's a lot that was shared with us and that we have to digest. We've heard from some of our commission members that were concerned about, having some of the documents on time, new things that just came to us a day ago, and we're thinking about that. And then obviously what we've already, received so far in terms of public comment. Point being that as I'd like to continue and finish with the public input portion tonight. And I'd like to make a motion to continue this next month, although I understand from our applicant having a conversation with the attorney, you'd be amenable to a 2-month delay in this, a 2-month continuance. Do I hear that correctly?
Yes.
To consider what's being discussed tonight?
Yeah, because we just didn't want to be in a position where we're scrambling at the last minute.
That's fine.
Some changes might require some plan work.
Great, well then I'll make the motion for 2-month continuance on this.
I'll second that.
Mr. Graziano, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Can we make public comment on that?
Opposed? Excuse me. Opposed? I hear no opposition. We will have a continuance on the decision for 2 months. We will take the rest of the evening to listen to every bit of the input because we want to, not only do we want to hear the input, we want to consider the input.
Mr. Courtney, you will also write a letter to the planning staff. Even though I think if we have a continuance to a date certain, that's sufficient, but you also agreed that you'll waive any time frames for that July meeting.
Yeah, so I sent Carl, I just sent him an email extending the deadlines for action on the plan to July 2.
And just so the public understands, an applicant is having the whole purpose, one of the purposes, I shouldn't say the entire purpose, one of the major purposes of hearings like this in a land development process is that the applicant has an opportunity to actually take in the feedback and potentially make modifications to address major issues. This is technically going to be considered a continuing hearing, so that's why the comments that are made tonight, and actually, if there are changes made, it opens the door for further comments on what those changes are. But I believe I speak for the chairman and all members of the commission that everything that's being heard tonight is being carefully considered and will be retained, and all this written material we've been given is greatly appreciated, because it will be referred to as needed. But in the concepts of the MPC, it is supposed to be a give and take process before someone's just denied the right to proceed. So I think that's the reason for the chairman's motion, and it's I don't want anyone to think that this doesn't play anything. You have to remember, any decision of the planning commission can be appealed by the applicant and rejected to city council, and then you got to go through this process again. So it's better, I think it's better that we all have the time for thoughtful consideration when the planning commission actually votes. It has a thorough opportunity to review everything it's obtained and makes a reasoned decision. And maybe in the 2 months that comes, the developer will decide, what do you need a warehouse for? We have no imports anymore. So.
Can I ask a question? May I please ask a question? Since the developer has waited till the last minute to kick this meeting down the road for almost 7 months, can we put a hard stop on that date? Would that be possible?
We'll take that up when we get to July 2nd.
I mean, if they.
I understand. We'll take it up there and we'll plan that we can have a useful decision. At this point, what the intention is we've already gone through the process of providing a hearing opportunity to the applicant. We've already provided a process and we'll continue for this input. The intention is that we will get back together and then we will be ready to discuss it amongst the commission and make a decision. Thank you. Your name, sir?
Morning. My name is Cody Harding. I live at 410 North 10th Street in the West Ward. Can you do this? I grew up in Wilson Borough, walking to Wilson Elementary School, graduated from Wilson High School, and but also as a way of introduction, I am an attorney representing the Stop Wood Warehouse Coalition members. I formerly served as a Deputy Attorney General for the Attorney General's Office in Pennsylvania, representing state agencies, particularly PennDOT, in fatal motor vehicle accidents. I also travel on Wood Avenue every day, so I'm very sensitive to the circumstances of this site. I had a formal presentation planned. I submitted a memo outlining several reasons why legally you not only can, but must reject this plan, but a lot of points have already been addressed, and so I'm going to go through this very quickly, and I'd rather resolve a few misstatements I've heard throughout the evening. So I think it's important to note that Easton has a very thorough and well thought out code, SALDO, development code, and it's very detailed in a lot of respects, and if you look closely at the applicant's proposal, they have not fulfilled those obligations, which are clear and established. And I say that as someone who in the last 2 days has spoken to district representatives from both the DEP and PennDOT. You also find in the packet a letter that the coalition submitted to the Department of Transportation expressing our intent to intervene if a highway occupancy permit is granted, and also submitting our own traffic study and our own analysis. I know that the applicant would love to stand before you and tell you, oh, everything is resolved with their highway occupancy permit, but we would beg to differ, and we plan to dispute that every step of the way. Furthermore, they'll also tell you that our DEP permits, particularly our Chapter 105 and 102 permits, are granted. That is not an accurate statement, as I found out this morning, because those are actually being reconsidered by DEP because of a major modification. One of the addendums or attachments to my memo is a document from the DEP explaining what that means. And it means, it could be for one of many reasons. The site increased, development increased by 2.5 acres, or 10%. I don't know why, but for some reason, they're asking DEP to reconsider their stormwater and earth disturbance permits. You'll also find that several points were brought up tonight. There's several permits and applications that I think the applicant has not even considered, particularly those regarding the wetlands. They've misstated that there are no wetlands on the National Wetlands Inventory on the site. That is not true. One of the parcels clearly abuts a very rare, I've heard there may only be a few thousand in the United States wetlands. That's very sensitive to salinity, and Jen from our coalition spoke to that. They also, there's the Saldo explains very detailed landscape plans, tree replacement requirements. It's very, very detailed. It's actually surprisingly detailed. The Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, who I quoted in my memo, even noted that their landscape plan is merely, at least at the time the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission reviewed it, merely a list of native plantings and doesn't actually show what's going to happen. There's some CGI generated images, but I think based upon how robust the city's landscape replacement provisions are, they fall woefully short. And for all of those reasons, the Planning Commission would be justified in voting down this plan or making them resubmit. But I'd rather focus on also, there was a big topic earlier about the ITE codes. And the other attachment to my memo is a memo from PennDOT from June 2024, which outlines how to select the proper ITE code. The applicant has, like so many things here, chosen the numbers, the size, the scale for the audience. They chose the ITE code that would look most favorable on them. You'll notice it's high on passengers, low passenger vehicles, low on trucks. It's because they hide a lot of the trucks as passenger vehicles, these step vans, these fulfillment vans. If you use the ITE codes recommended by PennDOT, which there's a big document with PennDOT, but if you look at page 17, you'll see this chart here, which is basically a question tree that it starts with if a warehouse facility has no end user, and it shows you where to go, and it identifies specifically that ITE code 154 should be used, which is not what the applicant used. The Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, in their very thorough analysis last June, got it closer by using the ITE code 150, which applies to warehouses. So their traffic route study is optimistic at best, and I am. That is one of the grounds for which we'll be objecting to their application if a highway occupancy permit is granted. I think more importantly, I won't even bother talking about the vague and speculative nature of this. I think we beat that to the ground. But it's important to note that there is emerging case law that is grounds for rejecting a plan. Now, the cases I've submitted to you, particularly there's a Palmer Township, or I'm trying to remember, there's the Lower Nazareth Township fantastic case, which is I think from 2023, and one other one, they were special use exceptions. And but if we focus on the vague and speculative nature and not the use by right and special use, we see that planning commissions have found vague and speculative nature as grounds for rejecting plans. The more important case is one that was decided on, or at least the order was issued May 1st, 2025, just last week, by the Commonwealth Court. And it was from Toby Hanna area, Coolbaugh Township, and it stands for the proposition that these are not warehouses. And I would assert very firmly that this was miscategorized as a warehouse. The case uses identical MPC, not identical, very similar MPC language to define a warehouse, which is a building primarily used for the storage of goods. That was the same in Coolbaugh Township, that's the same in Easton. In Coolbaugh Township, they had another category, which was a distribution or truck terminal, and that was not permitted in the district, and so the commission voted it down. In Easton, we don't have anything that describes this type of facility, this truck terminal, this distribution center. we know from the traffic counts, it's not a passive warehouse primarily. The storage is an ancillary use at best. These things are here for a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, a month maybe. That is grounds. So if it's not a warehouse, which is permitted by right in the adaptive reuse zone, then what is it? It's an undefined use that requires a special exception. And so I very firmly implore the Planning Commission to reconsider or refer this back to the zoning officer and the zoning hearing board as an undefined use requiring a special exception.
Mr. Harding, and I don't want to engage in a debate here because I appreciate the information, I appreciate reading that case, but one of the concerns that I have is that I do not know that when it's undefined, it's a special exception. It seems that when there's not an area that where it's actually allowed or provided for by special exception, it becomes allowed in any place in the city of Easton. So you have to be very careful there because that's how we got into trouble with billboards.
I would disagree that in the adaptive reuse zone, that is not true. I don't want to miscite a section, but
that's the nice part is we got 2 months. And I'd appreciate it, anything further you could send me directly because I'm curious about that particular issue.
Yeah. I think it's important. There's 1 or 2 matters of housekeeping that I'd just like to bring up because they were brought up. I will try to wrap up.
Thank you.
This site also, from my assessment, is floodplain as designated by FEMA, and therefore would invoke it's section 298-13, and any development, particularly the rerouting of a waterway, which is a clear central part of this development, requires a special use exception. The language is a little convoluted, but if you look at it more than a few moments, I think it's clear that the 2 sections are 298-13 and 298-18 or 8. So I think there's very valid reasons why the initial assessment of this as a warehouse used by right should be reconsidered. And I think that alone is grounds for the Planning Commission to vote this down. I know that we've heard from a lot of experts tonight, but I think it's important to remind that you are all experts as to this town and this city and what it needs, just like everyone here is an expert. And we know the site, we know what can fit, we know what can't fit. We drive on these roads every day. And so I think we've given you plenty of ammunition to vote this down. And I would argue that it's not a use by right. That was a misinterpretation of the city code, especially in light of this recent case last week by the Commonwealth Court. And I'd be happy to answer any questions once you have a chance to review. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Anna Dragan. I'm a student at Lafayette College. I live on Parsons Street. I'll keep this very brief because I have a final tomorrow and you'll find, unfortunately, that I'm here instead of the library. I would just like to echo the sentiments of everyone who just spoke. When I found out about this proposed mega warehouse that is 1 million square feet, my immediate concerns were with the inevitable air quality reduction and toxic waste runoff into the Bushkill Creek that would follow its construction. These things both will harm the overall health of my community and that of the natural resources that surround us. There's also the issue of traffic, how this plan will be detrimental to traffic flow and by extension disrupt the peace, quality of life, and walkability of our community. These things have been discussed at length, so I will not revisit them. The biggest overarching issue here is that this is an issue of environmental injustice, as the mega warehouse's site is within a 1 mile radius of several marginalized and underserved residential communities. These negative effects will hit these areas the hardest. Those who propose this plan will get to sit back and passively reap the economic benefits of it, while our small and vulnerable communities are crushed by the negative impacts. For these reasons, I would like to respectfully yet strongly ask that you reject this plan. Thank you.
Good luck in your exam tomorrow.
Hello, my name is Kamsi Noonan. I'm also a student at Lafayette College, and I live on 200 High Street. I'd like to start by acknowledging that I am obviously not an Eastonian. You know, I've come here for 3 years, and I love this community with all of my heart, but it's not the one I grew up in, and it's not the one I'm going to be in another year. And so I don't want to just speak on behalf of myself or on behalf of Lafayette College, but I want to speak on behalf of my generation. You all, respectfully, are a little bit older than me. And one day you will be handing this beautiful city of Easton and this community to the younger generation. And I want you to consider what you've heard tonight about the environmental degradation, about the air quality concerns, about the asthma that you're giving the children in the elementary schools. And I want you to think about the city that you are handing to the next generation. Do you want to hand them a city that is dirty and destroyed, or do you want to hand them a city that is beautiful? And I also want you to consider the issue of the continuance that was just brought up. I understand that we want to give the applicant more time to consider the concerns that have brought up today, but at the end of the day, a warehouse is a warehouse is a warehouse, and that is not going to change. I do not see any way that by July, the applicant will address the air quality or water quality concerns that we brought up tonight, and frankly, I think even with the continuance, there is no reason to accept this application. I respectfully ask that you reject.
Thank you. Point of clarification, and thank you for your reasoning for what you shared. Point of clarification, the continuance, I made the motion for continuance on behalf of the needs of the commission, not on the needs of the applicant. I felt we needed some time to consider everything that was said tonight, and to do so and to act it on Thursday would not be probably in all of our best interests. So that's why. I appreciate the comment. Okay.
Hi, my name is Libby Ross. I'm a student at Lafayette College, and I live on High Street. And I'm actually surprised that this point has not been brought up previously, since it was such a big point of discussion that the commission was talking to the applicant about. But it was about the noise pollution. 376.6D of the Easton City Code says, as part of its review process relating to every application before it, the Planning Commission shall ascertain whether the proposed subdivision, land development, etc. shall exceed the maximum sound levels allowed by Table 1. Table 1 states that an industrial land use can have a maximum decibel of 77. And trucks are known to cause decibels frequently higher than this. An idling truck in the winter, its bunk heater can cause 69 decibels, and that's just one. So if there's like at least 2 trucks just sitting there in the winter, it would easily break this ordinance, and I think that is definitely grounds for the city to get them to reconsider a lot of the things that we've talked about so far with environmental impacts and everything that seems to have just sort of been rushed through, and it seems like we've kind of had to push them to think about these concerns when my ES 101, my engineering design course, taught us that we're supposed to think about these things first, and I find it kind of reprehensible that it has to be the burden of the people of Easton to get these developers to think about the morality of their actions. But we are here to do that, and on the topic of morality, I would also like to read from 522C of the City of Easton's code, which is directly addressing land ordinances. And it says that the purpose of this auto is to provide adequate open spaces for traffic, recreation, light, and air, and for proper distribution of population, thereby creating conditions favorable to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the residents of the city. I think the residents of the city have expressed that this is not something that we feel is favorable to our health, safety, morals, or general welfare. And I think that regardless of all of the other specific concerns listed under 520 where they've failed to meet specific requirements, they've also failed to meet the purpose of this ordinance in the first place. And I think we should continue to focus on the spirit of things and to reject this proposal.
1111 Quad Drive. I've lived here for 2 years. I'm a sophomore engineering student at Lafayette, and I'm here tonight to express my concern and strong opposition to the Wood Ave mega warehouse in its entirety. One day, I hope to be a planner. I'm currently wrapping up my first regional planning course, and my final project was to develop housing policy with Northern Lehigh County through the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. The biggest thing I learned as someone who's never lived there or lived in a community tied to farming, such as Northern Lehigh, is how essential it is for development to be contoured to the specific people of that region. Skinnell Properties is based in Indianapolis. They've recently cranked out developments in Fort Worth, Kansas City, Hallfield, Germany, and beyond. Their goal is to build a mega warehouse in our community, grab their profit, and leave. They will not be here when the traffic concerns commence, when the air pollution intensifies, or when the water runoff worsens. This is not development for Easton. This is not development by Easton. And look around at all the black shirts you've seen, all the people who've shown out tonight. This is not development supported by the people of Easton. I'm here asking the Planning Commission to reject this warehouse in its entirety for those who really do live here. I think it's also really important to comment on the Planning Commission's choice to extend the meeting to July 2nd. I respect that the Planning Commission felt the need for that time, but it's important to know what the impacts of that will be. Those who represent the applicant are getting paid to be here tonight. We are not. It's a feat that even after this item has been removed from the agenda for 7 months, people came out in numbers tonight to express their concern. Many Lafayette students will not be here in 2 months to listen to Skinnell Properties present 2 months of thoroughly researched misstatements and lies, such as a warehouse doesn't cause air pollution. I want to thank you for your time and ask that you value that of your neighbors as well. Failing to do so hinders democracy in Easton. I appreciate your consideration.
Do we have anybody else who would like to contribute? This has been very, very educational for us, I can tell you. All right, seeing none, I see one, and that will be the last one.
Okay.
For the record, I wanted to state that I was at this meeting tonight in case I got a parking ticket over on my thing. Not that that might matter, I just wanted to state that.
What's your name?
So my name is Alex Simons. I live at 1435 Spring Garden Street. This is my backyard right here. And I'm not coming here with a lot of facts, figures, laws, codes, all that stuff. I'm a student. Maybe what you would call like an average NPC, like a non-playable character, just an average Eastonian, if you will. So I'm here as a taxpayer, which actually I just paid my second installment of my city tax today, actually. So I came here to say, because Kurt mentioned something about how you felt when you heard about this, and I agree with him. I agree that there are a lot of strong feelings associated, and I see that a lot when I turn left on Wood Avenue from 17th Street every day to take my son to daycare in Palmer Township, and then I pick him up. Sometimes we'll go to Muser Park in Wilson, we'll go to the Palmer Park Mall. I'm in that area every day, every week. And sitting here hearing tonight everything that the applicant has said, I'm not going to get any benefit from that, from this whole development. My life may get worse from this, with the traffic, the pollution, the sound. I didn't even consider that before tonight, and that is a great point. So I think overall where I'm going with this is that it is about the community, it is about people showing up and saying something and hopefully making a difference. I think all of you raised a lot of good questions. I think there's been a lot of great dialogue tonight. Very civil, extremely civil. So just again, as just an average Estonian, just consider me, consider just the average people that aren't here tonight, that are just walking on the street and that don't even know about this happening. You know, it's not their fault that they're not aware, it's not anyone's fault that they're not aware, but a lot of these things kind of operate under cover of non-communication, because it's, you know, there would be more people here tonight if more people knew about it. So, again, I just want to say, consider just average people. Just consider people who are paying their second installment on their taxes and hoping they're not going to get a parking ticket for coming here tonight, just to speak their opinion. So, thank you. Have a good night. Have a good morning, actually. So.
Thank you very much. So that will conclude the portion where the applicant presents. We'll also conclude the portion where we take public input. We'll come back to this in 2 months and make sure we read up on everything we've seen here. We had on our agenda discussion for Planning Commission procedures. Without objection, I think we can move that till the next meeting, till June. And I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.